Good morning. It's 8:37 a.m. Today's date 6/9 of 2013. We covered BIIB, Biogen. We're covering the weekly chart on CELG. The biotechs have been on fire since 2012. We consolidated here. CELG is one of the leaders in the space in this biotech. It made a great rally from 77 up to the 130, but here's the trick. During the month of May, we put in the all-time high, 513. We came down and undercut on a weekly level. We undercut on the date of 6/3. We undercut at 122.50, that weekly moving average, down to the underlining 20-week moving average, and undercut it just slightly. But remember, if this was a daily chart, you always have the 10-day, that's at support level. It's always going to be the 20-day or 20-week or 20-month. It's always going to be the underlining rising 20-week moving average. It undercut it, but it traded right back up to 125. It got on sell during from the week of the first trading week of June until Thursday. We put in these bottoms and we rallied on up into Friday. Now, technically on a weekly level, we'll be looking at how to buy the dips. We'll go to a daily chart right here, MMT. And on the daily chart, that particular line right here is called a 100-day moving average. Now, technically from a daily level, everything is broke. It's below all the other key moving averages. The 200-day moving average is way down here, but we got support levels. So as we rally back up and just like we did in BIIB, CELG is not as strong, but we're going to take a look at where these support levels going across here, where these lows were. That was on 429 weekly. We're going to look and see how to buy the dips at the lower support levels. But up here on a weekly level, it is a descending, the upper end of the resistances. Let's take a look at where CELG closed. CELG. It's a leadership stock for all of our MMTs. The close was 120. Right here. 120.41. So we've rallied on up. From that 20-week, we're above the 10-week. And the key is that the 10-week moving average, it went up above it, but it closed back below it. So that's going to be the key area of resistances. Whereas that rising 10-week was a great, every time it hit it, it bounced. Made the highs, it undercut it. They've had their correction. They've had their pullback to test these major weekly averages. What we will be doing is during the trading week starting tomorrow, Monday, is we'll look at where the limit orders would be placed, where to buy the dips. Most importantly, though, is that when we get to the top end of the next resistance area is how we would hammer out the short side of the trade. Okay, because they sold down. We had one big day on Friday with the jobs report that took all these stocks back up from the short-term oversold level within the bull rally. Now, bull rallies have relief rallies, and this is a relief rally, and it's going to have a range now that they've corrected. So we're going to look for possibly lower highs where we would sell short at resistance, but buying the bottom end of that dip. It is a leadership stock. Big money likes it. They move in, they buy the dips, and we will too. It's the first week that we sold off, and it was just this last trading week. So this next trading week is where we find the support levels, and or do you get above the weekly moving average, the 10-week, or do you have to come back down and test? We'll find out. But biotech has been on fire, and they were due for some profit taking. That's the history on CELG with the weekly chart. I will show a monthly view of it before we sign off on it. Here is the monthly view of an $80 breakout. These are monthly candles. And you can see that monthly distribution. You can see that this high is much lower than the 52-week high sell-off. And you can see right here that area that I showed on the weekly chart. This is a half monthly bar, and that gate there was on 3-1, and that was at 109. I mean, well, I'll figure out what the half bar is in our MMT, but that's where that support level is. So once again, going back to a daily format, is we have support. That's a long-term rising 100-day moving average. These are bulls, but they get oversold from an extreme overbought. They get their support. They will be in trading ranges. We're putting out a CELG alert.